Hate week continues, but with the man we all love, yes, that's Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports to join us after the Mondays with Mel press conference and get us ready for this Saturday's game against those Wolverines. Let's go.
Our Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, it's my favorite people of all time. Yes, you already know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the listeners of Locked On Spartans, the viewers of Locked On Spartans, and also this gentleman here, Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. But before I let this man talk, hey, this episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Sling TV. Don't miss this weekend's matchup between the Spartans and Wolverines right here on Sling. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. Stephen Brooks, fresh out of a Mel Tucker press conference, Mondays with Mel. And we were talking before we smashed this record button. This was kind of a masterclass in going 20 minutes without really saying much of anything. I hate to start the episode like this, but really, coming off a bye week, is there anything that Mel said today that even perked up one ear, even raised one eyebrow for you, or not really?
No, not really. And, yeah. I mean, this was like you said, I mean, it was an elite performance up there from Mel Tucker in terms of not, of filling time without saying anything, of using his vocal cords without anything really of substance coming out. I mean, I think he usually does a good amount of that, but this week I thought it was definitely ratcheted up to a new level. I mean, like he said, very basic stuff in terms of it got healthier over the bye week. Of course, he didn't provide any specifics. He said, they're educating the guys who need to be educated on the rivalry and whatnot. Of course, there are a bunch of new guys here and whatnot, and talked about, it also being Monday too, though, and you can't empty the tank on Monday, emotionally or physically or strategy wise, anything in any aspect when you've got a game this big and this important and whatnot. He did. It's not like he downplayed it at all. Like he said, there hasn't been a day since he took this job where this game hasn't been brought up. Emphasize that part of it. Mentioned, it's right in line with any other of the big rivalries he's ever been a part of, which would obviously include, Bama, Auburn, Steelers, Browns in the NFL, Bears, Packers in the NFL, Ohio State, Michigan on the other side of that thing. So he said, it's as heated as any of those, and of course, the in-state dimension, makes it a little bit different. He said it's probably the closest aligned. Georgia, Florida was another one he mentioned. He said it's probably closest aligned to the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn, just because of the in-state nature of it. And, your neighbors, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your mom and dad, the battle lines are drawn. And they're not straight at all. Everyone's got their faction and whatnot. So there was that. He said, I think he said they practiced 3 times over the bye week. It might have been one or two more than that. But gotcha. They did practice over the bye week. Didn't hit, but he said it was definitely a Michigan focused. They were definitely Michigan focused practices, not like I was kind of wondering like if it would be like early bowl prep, or like spring ball, where you're just really looking inward and reflecting on yourselves as opposed to specifically practicing for a designated opponent, a specific scheme and whatnot. So he did say everything was Michigan focused. So, you're all looking at like at least, 8 practice days or so, to prepare for this game.
I mean, that alone is interesting too, because, hey, you know what? Michigan State, we're off the schneid. That's right. We don't have to look inward anymore. We can focus on future opponents. It goes without saying that this is going to be a massive game here for both sides. I think Michigan's a little upset about what happened last year, just a teensy bit. And obviously Michigan State, keeping Paul Bunyan home would be desirable. And a massive way you could do that is by getting back some healthy players. Now, Mel said that, hey, look, we just tried to get healthy as well over the bye week. Do you want to play the speculation game and like guess who could come back this week? Or do you think it's just a matter of fact of guys just getting a little healthier? Guys like Xavier Henderson, guys like Jacob Slade, or are there new guys that have been out the last week or so that could maybe come back to play for MSU this Saturday?
I think it's mostly what you said at first there. Look, I think it was pretty obvious that Xavier Henderson, even though he was back out there on the field against Wisconsin, I think it's pretty obvious he wasn't 100%. If you just saw him moving in open space and things, I mean, he made a couple plays here and there. But same thing with Jacob Slade, ditto. Like he was out there, he was playing hard, trying hard and everything, but I think it was pretty clear like they weren't themselves at their best. So you've got that. And who knows who else is dealing with some stuff like that, that we really don't even know about. That they've just been sort of gutting through it, whether that's on the offensive line or running backs. Like Jaden Reed was back, after that Washington game, but it took him a few weeks to really be back, in terms of seeing the guy that we expect him to be. So maybe there's a little bit more of that. The guy that I think, and look, there's really not many guys it is kind of been a lot of that, like in and out, like little, nicks and bruises stuff since they got those other guys back. But the one guy I would sort of have my eye on is Jeff Petrowski. Just thinking they put a little video up of like Marco Coleman breaking down the D-line. This was before the Wisconsin game, even at this point, I believe. And he was out there in an orange jersey, which means, like non-contact and everything, like doing stuff to the side, not completely out though. Like he wasn't in street clothes. So that leads me to believe
it's good.
He was fairly close to coming back. So that would be a big help. I mean, everybody that can get along that D-line to try to, crack skulls with Michigan's offensive line and that run game and everything is going to be beneficial. Chris Bogle, I don't know about. He'd be the other one I would be curious about, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you saw it. I'm sure most of the listeners saw it. Like my sense of time is all warped too, but like a week ago, maybe it was like right after the Wisconsin game, he posted something on Twitter that was very cryptic about like just only the strongest survive and the journey continues or something, this or that. I don't have it in front of me, but like folks can go look it up. And I don't know this, but I mean, it was very cryptic, but it seemed like some of those posts you see from guys like when they're going through something and might be out for a while. So I don't know that that's strictly you're trying to read between lines. It's strictly using context clues and past history and whatnot. So I don't know that at all, but that sure looked like one of those type of posts, that people put up there in those type of situations. So I don't know about that, but Jeff Petrowski, I think when maybe is on the table, at least. I don't know that either for a fact at this point, but he seems like he would be closer to returning.
Those kind of posts are like fascinating. It's almost like trying to decipher hieroglyphics that are found in ancient caves. Like, what is he coming back next week? Is he done for good? Is he walking away from the game himself? Like, I don't know. So I don't know what to think of Bogle. Just like you said, like it could mean anything. But it's going to be one extreme or another, right? Like he's either playing this Saturday or he's done.
And it's a twist, right? Because like you see that he's been out since the first half of the Minnesota game.
Yeah.
So that's several weeks, if it's what, it sort of looks like it might be, I guess. Why would the timing of it was weird. Like if it was some sort of situation where he's got to be shut down for the season or he's opting out, shutting himself down or whatever that might be. It seems like that would have happened fairly soon after he left that game with the injury or whatever it was. So then to wait like 2 or 3 weeks, like it wouldn't seem like there'd be that big of a gap necessarily. I don't know, maybe he just had other things going on, had some assignments to finish up. I don't know.
Sure.
And I really don't even know if it's even, suggesting what to me it suggested. So I don't really want to go too deep into it because I just don't know what it meant. But it sure looked like that, I guess.
Speaking of people saying things that you're not sure what they really mean, Mel Tucker wasn't the only head coach to talk today. Jim Harbaugh also spoke to media in Ann Arbor. He didn't say like really anything too revealing, no bulletin board material, said he really wants to win the game. It's groundbreaking for a head coach. But he also said this, and I want your take on this. He said that Michigan State is a physical team that runs the ball well. Stephen, is he either A, line, B, just watching last year's tape over and over again, or C, is he on like hallucinogens? I mean, like, is he on PCP? Like, I don't know, because that's not the team that I've been watching for the first 7 games this year, a team that runs the ball well. Or do you actually kind of see what he's saying? Does Michigan State actually run the ball kind of well? And I'm just completely missing the mark here.
Not this team. No. I mean, I don't know if he's saying like, I didn't catch the clip. Maybe he's saying like historically, like, historically, that is what they are. They run it. They play good defense. Like traditionally, that's the Michigan State brand and everything. Okay. And if maybe he just got the tapes mixed up and watched too much of last year's, and it's like, man, this number 9 is pretty good. We got to watch out for him. They did run the ball hard that time or that year. This year, no. And like, but look, every coach does that. I mean, no one's gonna be like, yep. They're great here, pretty good here. Oh my God, they're awful here. We can't wait to get that matchup. And then pretty solid across the rest of the board. Like they don't do that. You can go back and listen to Mel Tucker's press conferences. I mean, Youngstown State was a great team. Akron was a great team.
Yep.
Everybody's been good. They've never played even an average team.
No.
So that's just how it goes. But that's funny to hear. Maybe that was. I mean, maybe he was. I don't know if he's. I don't know if Harbaugh makes jokes like that, but I mean, maybe he was making a joke of some kind there by fake praising them. I have no idea.
I can never figure him out. I don't think a lot of people can figure him out. But yeah, that one stuck out to me when it came across like my timeline on Twitter. Like, run the ball well, Michigan State. Okay, you know what? Fine. I'll take the compliment where it's given, especially in this great week of hate that we have.
If he speaks it into existence, I mean, that would change this game. Obviously,
I wouldn't say no to
reasons.
It.
Yeah. I don't know how much you want to get into that part, but I mean, like, that's among the many reasons I don't feel good about Michigan State is that right there and their inability to move it on the ground. So it's dicey. But I do think the thing that's really interesting to me is like the way, I think we talked about this last week, but shifting to that 4-3 and playing it as much as they did. It wasn't the first time they broke it out, like against Wisconsin, of course, but like really committing to it for a full game, basically. I mean, Mel was asked about that today, and he said, like, look, it's just matching personnel. Like, they got bigger dudes out there, meaning tight ends and fullbacks, and we got to bring bigger people out there, meaning more linebackers than defensive backs. So I think that's really interesting that they got that implemented that week and then had the whole bye week to sort of marinate in it. And now I would assume, I mean, based on his logic, based on all logic, there's no reason to believe that they won't be playing a lot of 4-3 again against Michigan unless they just completely break from character and spread it out for some reason. So that's really interesting. I mean, I give Michigan State more of a shot than I did. I still am not picking them. I don't even think I'm picking them to cover right now, but that's a really fascinating element to me. And I think in general, I think this is got to be a game where I think where Michigan State's coaches earn their checks, right? Like all of them. I'm not just saying just Mel or just this guy, or that, like all of them. Like, because I think we've seen in the Wisconsin game, there was some evidence of it of like, if you can just get some of these playmakers the ball in space, isolate them one-on-one with Jaden Reed, one-on-one with Keon Coleman. You had a nice look from Malik Carr there. I mean, there's been some decent things with the running backs at times. Like that, you have the playmakers. I think that you could do some things but you gotta. And the one thing Mel said today was like they haven't played 60 minutes of good football yet. He said our best 60s in front of us or something like that. And like I totally agree with that. Like they haven't come close to that, to all three phases helping each other, complementary football, as he always loves to say. Like if they can pull all that together, and there's not zero shot that they can win this game, I guess is really what I'm getting to. And that's kind of what it felt like, at the start of the month, when MSU was on that slide and Michigan was just beating everybody up. Like, I do think lately the winds have shifted a little bit to where I not totally, of course, like Michigan's going to be a huge favorite. They should be. Right. And I think they're going to win this game and probably cover. But I do give Michigan State a little bit more of a chance than I was even 2-3 weeks ago, just based on these changes that we've seen lately. And like I said, I think it's a big coaching game for Michigan State.
No doubt. And we're going to get more into the game here in a hot second with Steve. I just got to say goodbye to you for a hot second because I got to talk to people's ear off about SimpliSafe. That's right. We're talking home security. We're talking about staying protected because as everyone knows, athletes rise and fall in the ranks. But when it comes to saving money, hey, SimpliSafe always stays on top. And right now you can save big with SimpliSafe Home Security. They're giving listeners 40% off their advanced security system. 40% off. SimpliSafe was just named the best home security of 2022 by U.S. News. I use it. I love it. You will love it too because at SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. With 24/7 professional monitoring, when a threat is detected, SimpliSafe's monitoring professionally promptly contacts you and dispatches first responders to your home, even if you're away or unable to respond. Their 24/7 professional monitoring costs under $1 a day. Just $1 a day, not even that. That's less than half the cost of ADT's traditional professional installed plans. Our monitoring experts use proprietary response technology. Those are big words. Those are fancy words. Those are security words right there to visually confirm when a break-in is real so that you can get the highest priority police dispatch possible. Don't miss this chance to save big. Like I said, 40% off to protect your home with the best. Get 40% off of your order when you visit simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege today. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes. That's simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege. There is no safe like SimpliSafe. And also, gang, when it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corner. And at Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group, well, you are only going to get the best in the business because they are your local farmland experts. With decades of experience in Corn Belt agriculture, no one knows the market better. Whether you're doing a 1031 exchange, expanding your operation, selling a row crop farm, your local Acre Pro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. And great service is just the beginning at Acre Pro. They provide unparalleled land data, including soil ratings, elevation, flood zones, and land valuation across parcels so that you can get the full picture up front and be confident in the entire land market. Your agent will cater to each of your individual needs and help you navigate the complexities of buying and selling land so that the process is made simple. Experience the ease of Acre Pro by working with farmland specialists like Kyle Rule, Brady Hammond, Neil Herr, and Kyle Spray. Visit acrepro.com or call 765-587-3185 and talk to your local land expert today. Again, that's 765-587-3185, Acre Pro, Midwest Farm Group. And let's get Stephen Brooks back on the show here to break down this weekend's game. But before that, hey, thank you all for making us your first listen every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Rate, review, subscribe, comment below if you're watching on YouTube, and let's get into this weekend's game a little more. Stephen, I got the same hunch here, man. It's either Michigan wins this by 45 or Michigan State wins by 5. I don't see anything in the middle right now. They want blood down the road, but recent sample size shows that Michigan State is never out of this game. And by that, I mean they've won 10 of the last 14. So who knows what can happen on Saturday. Let's keep talking about what could happen for Michigan State to win the game. Let's. Hey, I'm in a good mood. Let's keep everyone else in a good mood. What has to happen on the Spartan side for them to pull off this stunner in Ann Arbor on Saturday?
Oh, man. I mean, quite a bit. The traditional stuff. I mean, like they either neutral or win the turnover battle, like neutral at worst. You cannot be negative in turnover margin. Absolutely. And I think another one is, there's always the rushing battle. Like, look, I don't think Michigan State's going to win that regardless of the result. I see no way Michigan State wins that one just based on Michigan's philosophy, Michigan's personnel, how good they've been at running it. Like, I just don't see that bearing out this year if Michigan State were to win the game, I'm saying. But the other thing is, is like valuing possessions, right? Like I remember when I don't remember what year it was, but Notre Dame was playing Navy when I covered Notre Dame. And like, they only had, I want to say like 5 second half possessions or something like that. Maybe, like they didn't have very many at all. And so with the way Michigan runs it, and if they're successful, if they're grinding out 5, 6, 7 minute drives on you, your opportunities are going to be limited, on the back end there. If you're down 2 possessions and you need something, like the clock's going to be working against you. So valuing possessions, trying to match points as best you can, just getting the most out of every possession. Even if you're not, Bryce Behringer, go pin him down in the 5 for us, man. Like, thank you. Things like that. The complementary football angle, of course, when he does that, when Bryce does that, don't let them go 95 yards on you.
That'd be nice.
Or convert 5 third downs, on the drive to go 90 yards, something like that. And then you're working the field position game. Now you're starting at maybe the 40, and now you're in position to at least go kick a field goal, maybe if that's all hammered out. So the turnover margin, value in possessions, and just being smart with that. Field position game and whatnot. And I just think much like the Wisconsin game, I thought like the weapons have to be weapons. Like Keon Coleman, Jaden Reed have to show up and be guys. They have to win their one-on-one matchup. Much like, was it the trouble with the Snag game? Yeah, where Connor Cook just hit Aaron Burbridge over
for 1,000 yards.
Yeah. And that was a heck of a matchup. Was it Jordan Lewis, I think, on the other side?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So that was a heck of a battle. Like, they weren't afraid. Like, we got our dude. We're going to go to him and repeatedly. And we don't care if you know it. Like, he's going to be better than you. Whatever you scheme up, he's going to be better than that scheme. So I think there's got to be more than a handful of moments like that for a Jaden Reed, for a Keon Coleman, where it's like, hey, we just got the better guy right now. We believe in him. Let's, draw it up, run it. Boom, let's go make a play here. Ditto for Malik Carr. Ditto for Daniel Barker.
Yep.
My colleague Justin Thin was telling me how bad Michigan's been at defending the tight end, apparently. So I think that's absolutely an area that you focus on. I think there's a lot still that's untapped in that department. I mean, Jay Johnson talks about them being the MVP. You've got 2 guys with sort of next level receiving ability, at least I'd say that. They both have some weaknesses and whatnot in other parts, but both Barker and Carr can be like major downfield weapons for you. We just really haven't seen them. Like, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think they're both under 15 catches. I know in the year. I think one's at like 12 and one's at 7 maybe for probably Malik. I think
so
it is,
weird,
something like that. Yeah, it's not a lot. So I would be, like I said, I think there's more things you could see there. Maybe one of them lines up as a fullback. Maybe one of them split out like sort of as an H-back. Maybe you have them double tight on the same side. One's attached, one's just behind him on the line of scrimmage there. Like I don't know, but I think there's more that can be done with those positions. And you have to get them the ball and like let them be the weapons. You're not just going to grind out these like 70, 60, 70, 80-yard drives by just playing traditional conservative sort of offense,
right.
The way they want to for the most part. Like you look back to last year, look how dependent they were on chunk plays and explosives. And like I know that's every offense to a degree, but they were very reliant on them last year. And this year you see they're not getting them. And that's why you're seeing so many 3-and-outs. You're seeing so many quick possessions, so many possessions without points, is like they're not getting that chunk play to put them over the top. That now that we're in the red zone, all right, now we can go play. Or now we're in field goal range, we can, exhale a little bit. Things like that you're not seeing. So they have to force the ball to their playmakers. I mean, I don't care what's schemed up. You get the ball to Malik Carr in space, as we just saw last week, then it becomes like a human performance thing. Like, am I really going to go tackle that dude? Am I really going to be able to? All right, well, I'm going to try. Am I really going to be able to bring him down, though, when he's running full speed, 260, whatever at me?
Yeah.
It's like that. People got to make decisions. People got to make plays at that point. Balls in the air. Keon Coleman's jumping with me. Am I really going to be able to go get that? I hope. I'm going to try. But is he just going to be too good, for that to happen? So like those type of plays, I think more than, traditional script to this, to lead to that, to lead to that, to set this thing up later. Like, I think you just got to force it to your playmakers and whoever you deem fit, and just let them be those difference makers. I think that's got to be the path forward.
Is it just simple-minded of me just to say, run back what you did in 2020. Have, Rocky just throw the ball far downfield and hope that Ricky White catches up to it, which worked out over and over again. Just do the 2022 version of that. Have Thorne just huck it down either sideline. You could pick the Reed sideline. You could pick the Coleman sideline. Quite frankly, I don't really care. Is it just simple-minded to just say that, or there probably has to be a little more?
Well,
right?
Different D coordinator, different quarterback for Michigan State, different personnel, so a little bit. But I mean, in terms of just sort of throwing things out the, maybe throwing convention out the window, like I would say that. That's kind of what I was just trying to get across there. Like,
just try it. Yeah.
However you got to do it. Yeah. Like all these guys I've mentioned, Coleman, Carr, Reed, Barker, I would throw in there. Like, they all have to get multiple touches, more than just one or two.
Yeah.
Like, they have to get these touches. And then from there, let them be playmakers and see where it takes you. But even if it's just a simple 5-yard curl route stop, hit Malik Carr, he's going to drag 2 or 3 guys with him, gain 2 or 3 yards, How many times, can you pull that off and move the sticks? Like, probably quite a few, right? Until something adjusts. And then what's the adjustment off of that? You can, do a hitch and go or whatever, get somebody running behind him. Like, there's a whole lot I think you can do there. I think the tight ends really are linchpin this week, though, given how underutilized they've been. And from what I've seen about Michigan, just hasn't really defended that position super well. Like, you've had a bye week, you've had time to scheme up some new things. That's why I talk about coaching. Like, I want to see Scotty Hazelton come out with some good stuff again, much like the Wisconsin game. I don't think he necessarily got enough credit for how well that went. And I know he's on the wrong side of the ledger on a lot this year, but like that was a good adjustment and it worked. What's Jay Johnson going to have now? If anything, like, he's got to come show it and prove it. Everybody on the coaching staff, I think, because those players that I've mentioned are there. They're good enough if they've got their whole defense together with Slade, Henderson, Winmon's back there, of course, at linebacker. Like, they've got enough pieces that, like, if they're just put in the right positions, this does not have to be the bloodbath that some people think it might be. It really doesn't. So I think there's enough talent, for Michigan State to pull off an upset. I honestly do. But I think they've got to be put in the right positions. I think the right things have to be prioritized and emphasized. And then, of course, people just got to execute and play at the end of the day. Like, you can call a perfect game and this and that. If the guys don't make the block, don't catch the ball, don't hear the audible, this or that, like, things can happen. But I don't think it's a situation like Ohio State. Michigan State does not have the talent to beat that team. They just don't. I'm sorry. I don't have that. like I
Not
talked about
quite.
puncher's chance in a certain scenario, this certain scenario that. That's not real with Ohio State, though. I do think with this game, there is that opportunity, that window, and that's why I'm putting a lot of this on coaching to get them over the finish line and to get them even in position to see the finish line, I guess is really how I should put it.
I shook my head and rolled my eyes when you said you got to execute perfectly, because I just thought of like the 1,000 dumb penalties they had against Wisconsin. Like, we can't have any of those. We can't have Michael Fletcher coming in like a heat-seeking missile a cool 8 seconds after the play's over. Like, that can't happen either. So, like, just play somewhat disciplined this time around. Let's give it a try. Let's mix it up this week. Hey, again, we're going to talk more about this game in a hot second, but first, we're talking LinkedIn right now. They are the greatest out there when it comes to finding a job, or, hey, finding people to fill a job that you have with your small business, because these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. Well, I got great news. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster, and best of all, for free. Look, just create the free job post in minutes and then add the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you guys are hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and then eventually hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions. Oh, yeah, that's right. They apply. Now, let's get back. The wonderful Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports here. Hey, look, Michigan, I'm not going to break a lot of news. I know not a lot of people want to hear it, but they're a good team. They're pretty good at what they're doing so far this year, specifically in the run game as well. And the last time a lot of us watched Michigan was the Penn State game. I don't know how much of that game you got to watch, but what was the biggest takeaway from that game if you did watch it? Was that, oh my God, Michigan's run game is for real? Or that maybe Penn State's run defense, not as good as expected, and also really didn't benefit from playing 60 or 65 defensive snaps in the first half? It could be a little bit of both, of course, too.
I watched the first half at home before I went over to Spartan Stadium. Then I left with a minute and a half left or something in the first half. Sure. So I missed most of the second half. It was up on the TVs, but I was doing my pregame stuff and watching warm-ups and this and that. So my takeaways were that they just destroyed what I think is a good team. I don't think Penn State's great, but I think they're good.
Sure.
They're the best team Michigan's played yet. So, and they just blew them out. I mean, that was really impressive because I think I might have mentioned it on here, but Michigan to me has passed every test that's come their way yet. Yeah. It's all right, well, blow the doors off your non-conference team. Don't even break a sweat. Check. All right, now can you go on the road to a traditionally tough place to play? I get Iowa isn't that good. Their offense is offensively bad.
Right.
But can you go on the road and win? Yes. Now, all right, can you beat a good team? I'm not saying they're a great team, but a good team. Yes. Demolish them. So every challenge that has come Michigan's way, I think they've passed. And so and to beat them, it wasn't just 35-20, they eviscerated them. So that was really, really impressive to see. I thought the run game was legit already. I didn't have any issue there. They just look like, I think even maybe I'm misremembering this, or maybe it was just me in my own analysis. I didn't really start to take them that serious, as a good team. Like I just mentioned with Penn State, I thought they were a good team for most last year, but around that Michigan State game, around November is when I really turned the corner. Okay, they're really, really good. They might be bordering on great. They're right there. Early on, I was just this team, I'm feeling that way earlier, I guess is what I'm saying. They're very, very good, bordering on great, might already be there right now. The one thing that I will say though about them, and that I keep coming back to, and I actually had a friend stop over real quick as I was getting ready to leave, and he was watching the game with me for a little bit. And I was like, the one thing about J.J. McCarthy is, and I like him, I think he's a good player. I think he's got very, very high upside. His talent is undeniable. I think it's very obvious in a lot of ways. But the one thing, and Michigan State fans can attest to this, I do think he's prone for that one killer mistake once a game. And maybe that doesn't materialize, he throws an easy pick and it just doesn't get caught, or he fumbles, he makes a bad decision and they recover it. But that Penn State game, and then 5 minutes after I said that, he throws it and it gets ping ponged off 4 guys or whatever, and then Penn State's running the other way with it. I'm like, aha, there it is.
Right on time. Yeah.
Of course, the fumble at Spartan Stadium last year, everybody knows that. But like, it just seems like he does kind of have that penchant, and that comes with people who are really talented. Like they trust themselves, they trust their abilities, they trust their arm, their
they
legs,
get bored,
be.
like he's getting a little bored. They want to set the
maybe
ball,
that too.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Put some tape
so
out
like
there.
that's something to be on the lookout. Like, is if that happens, if he makes that killer mistake at a even worse time, maybe that's a door, creaking itself open for Michigan State there. I don't know, but that's something that really sticks out about this team. I think it's solid as heck across the board. And again, I do like McCarthy. I do think he gives them probably the highest ceiling, to win some of these games against elite teams that they might see down the line. But, I do also think he's got this penchant for like, oh man, like the absolute killer type of mistake. And if the other team's able to capitalize on that, who knows what you got cooking from there.
Saw Graham Mertz do it 2 weeks ago, so I'd be welcome to see that happen to a quarterback for the second game in a row, not second week. You guys know what I mean. One more question that is kind of like on the not the negative side, just like the reality side, because there's a lot of mismatches along the field, Spartans versus Wolverines. What mismatch though should I be losing the most sleep over? Is it going to be their offensive line versus Michigan State's defensive front? Michigan State actually have a defensive front you think that could hang with them, or is it something completely different that I'm not thinking of right now when it comes to these two teams?
I actually think much like last year, like Michigan was running all over everybody last year, but I was like, look, they're not going to just gash Michigan State's D-line, and they didn't.
Gotcha.
So I still think MSU's D-line will hang in there and acquit themselves well. I mean, look, Michigan will probably rush for about 100 something. I don't think they're just going to steamroll them all day and go for 200 or more. Okay. I wouldn't expect that, honestly. Slade and Barrow and Hansen, all those guys are just too good. Assuming they're all able to play and stay healthy and whatnot. Petrovsky would be a boost there, as I mentioned. So I don't worry about that as much. Michigan will run the ball, but not like to a just embarrassing degree or anything like that. Like Michigan State's going to get their share of wins too, I think. Gotcha. They're still built that way. They're still that good there. To me, it's it's redundant, but it's the offensive. It's Michigan State's offensive line, basically against anybody, right? Because I mean that's the big prohibitive handcuffing factor here. It's like if I just thought they had even could get average run game production and get average blocking up front, then like I'd feel way differently about this game. I still would probably pick Michigan to win, but it'd be tighter. I mean, it's right now, like I can't trust them to even show up against an average Big Ten team opponent, and sort of get the job done for them. So against a really good Big Ten team, that's got to be the most problematic. If things go south, that's probably wise because they can't run the ball. They're getting nothing out of that. They're getting harassed. Thorne's getting harassed. He can't get anything going in the passing game. Like all the stems of the offense all trace back to that line. And so if they're not able to keep up and trade points on those precious possessions I was mentioning, like that's probably why. So that'll probably be the case for a while now. Of course, you could say the secondary too and whatnot. Michigan's passing game hasn't shown itself to be super scary yet, though. Even though I say I do like McCarthy, I do like Ronnie Bell and some of those guys, but we all know running is their bread and butter. But Michigan State, if they could slow them down enough, if Michigan State's defense could slow them down enough to keep it in a game, can MSU's O-line and that whole operation keep it together to give them a shot offensively to make it a game? That part I just don't know. So that would be the biggest concern for me.
I don't know. Hopefully Michigan State used the bye week to get some growth hormone in the offensive line. I'm not endorsing cheating, but I'm not doing it. So by any means necessary, just figure out how to bulk up that offensive line and just play a little better because I would just love to see Peyton Thorne not get killed too as he's trying to sling the ball 50 yards downfield to Reed every other play, in my opinion. But here you have it. So, hey, we're closer and closer to kickoff. Stephen Brooks just got us a little smarter as we get closer to the game as well. Stephen, thanks a ton for joining the show, man. You are quite simply the best. And any parting words before we hop off here?
No, just everybody have fun. Be safe if you're going over there. I think the night games should be really cool. If you do go over there, don't get into fights. Keep your mouth, keep everything appropriate. Like, don't need any brawls and everything. Just enjoy it and let the game sort of speak for itself, I guess.
All right, fine. Whatever. I guess. No, that's sound advice. And hey, gang, guess what? We'll be back tomorrow. And then the day after that, we'll get a little bit more into Michigan's side with Chris Castellani of Barstool Sports. And at the end of the week, tease it a little bit. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it hasn't happened yet, but Tony Lippett might be joining us for the Friday show. Regardless, we got a few fun episodes coming up later this week. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Love you all. Go green. Let's go.